Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Project Veterans Voices. Man, we have Robin DeLeon back with us for this one. It's going to be fantastic. But before we get into the episode, if you're enjoying these podcasts, make sure you go hit up the new website. That's the Lost Art Project, veteransvoices.org. Again, the Lost Art Project, veteransvoices.org. We are now a nonprofit, and we are moving in the right direction. We're going to archive as many veteran stories as we possibly can. And very excited about it. Big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project out there doing amazing things. Go check them out. If there's any way you can help them, it'd be much appreciated. You can always find them at tillvalhallaproject.com. Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veteran Service Organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member. All right, here we are, man. Robin, welcome back. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Just enjoying everybody else's tax dollars. Thank you for my Army retirement.
That's right, man. And it's a great thing when we can enjoy the tax dollars and they come back to us. It's a good deal. So I can't complain about it.
I was a little worried last fall when they were shutting down the government. I'm like, okay, I got my Army retirement and my VA pension. Are they going to be affected because they're not going to pay the military? And my nephew and my stepson are both actively in right now.
Yeah.
And so, is that going to affect my retirement? And so luckily, apparently we're a different line item budget and we're not affected by the government shutdown.
Yeah. So it gets nerve-wracking though when you think about, oh shoot, am I going to have a paycheck? Is it going to show up?
The stupid part was, USAA is awesome. So before I would run into, oh crap, it's the first of the month, bills are due, and I didn't get paid, I asked USAA, they did the 0% loan, 90 days. And then as soon as I got paid, I paid it back. Life is good.
Yeah.
But my credit took a ding.
Oh man. They got to get you somehow.
Yep. It's so stupid. And I pay off my house and my credit score goes down.
Oh, geez.
I don't have a bill.
Oh, gotta love that.
All right. Well,
I'm glad to have you back. Now you get to tell some cool stories. Correct me if I'm wrong. We did 2 parts before?
We did 2 parts to tell my 42 years, the why of my military service.
That's right. Yeah. And now we get to hear some excitement, some crazy things that happen maybe.
Yep.
So it should be a good time.
I had to make notes so I could remember and jog. So I'm going to look down at times to jog my memory, and I did it sequentially. But if something pops into my head, I'm going to throw it in. So
sounds good.
Basic training, nothing big deal there. Everybody gets beat up in basic training. Everybody does 1,000 push-ups. Everybody thinks they're doing well, but then their bunk is tossed. So nothing special there.
Right.
I got used like everybody else, although it was an Army basic training, not a Marine basic training. And we've already agreed you're not going to hold that against me.
That's right. That's right.
And then AIT, the only story there is I was doing very well. I had a perfect score on the last written test. I made one mistake. And the question was, you just did something like you just started an IV. What do you do with the bloody gauze? And I remember when we were doing the practice IVs on each other, we just chucked it in the trash. I'm like, just chuck it in the trash. But at the time, it was like, no, that's biohazard waste. And so I missed one question in AIT.
Wow.
On a grad for one question. The other guy who didn't miss that one question.
Man, that's tight. That's a tight run there between the two of you.
Yeah. I mean, the Army's very good at its schools. If you want to learn, the Army wants to teach you. And I'm assuming, it's similar in the military, in the Marines and other
Oh yeah.
services, where they're going to really emphasize what you need to know. They're not trying to do a grade curve like in college or something.
Right.
They want you to actually learn the material, understanding once you pass the test, you're going to do more on-the-job training anyway.
Right. Yeah.
You're going to rely on your NCOs to get you to the next level.
I mean, many times it's life and death situation stuff that you're learning too, just like you were doing. So
yeah. So, but here's my first real story. 83. I'm a private PV2. No, PV3. All right.
Okay.
And we go to the annual training, right? National Guard. And I told you they sent me out on the Advon to pick the aid station site. And every time I picked one, I got bumped to another site. Well,
yeah.
Main body shows up. We set up the aid station, and then they like, okay, we need somebody to cover the ranges. So they tell me to drive the Jeep. Now the Jeep is a stick. I'm a stick. But I was the TC on the convoy down to Fort A.P. Hill, Virginia. So I was watching the driver drive the truck, do the stick shifting, and I just kind of made a note of it. And so I'm like, okay, I'll go to the ranges, and I just figured it out. But I did a lot of That's how I learned to drive stick. And it was no, do you have a military license? It's like, do you have a regular driver's license? Okay, here are the keys. Go.
Yeah. That's right.
And it was an old World War II, Korea,
like the Willys Jeeps.
And it had 2 racks where you could slide the litters on, except the racks were broken. So, you don't sit on the litters because they could fly off. So if we have a patient back there, they actually sit in the vehicle because,
yeah,
we got the Army leftovers and there was no money to fix things,
Right.
So, that's my AIT story. And then
that's impressive, though. I mean, nobody was there to really kind of coach you through it. You just, hey, I got to figure it out.
And then figuring out to shift. Once you're past first gear, you're in second, you're rolling. Everything else is easy.
Yeah.
It's that shifting out of neutral into first and getting that coffin going.
That's right.
There was, nothing much in 84 AT. I already told you about how I joined OCS and stuff. 85 AT was basically like the first part of OCS. So it was basic training all over again, but for officers.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Same silliness, but a lot more classroom, the 5-pot op order, the Ranger handbook things and all that, and all of these different tasks. But in the last 2 weeks, so we did it 2 weeks, we did a year of weekend drills, and then the last 2 weeks and graduate. So a bunch of us, no names. I don't know if I was involved or not. I do not recall. I need an attorney. We somehow, or somebody somehow, got into the building where the classroom was, and they had the big sand table. And in the morning, they found this big battle scene, and I can't remember what my figure was doing because we named every figure. But Combat Conley, I mentioned him. He was the guy that was going to go Rangers, SF, whatever.
Yeah.
He took a paper plate, or we had I wouldn't say he, but a paper plate was hanging from the ceiling, and from strings from it was a little Army guy, little green guys.
Yeah.
And your Combat Conley, those poor commie bastards have got me surrounded. So The OCs came in the morning. They looked at it and they kind of liked it, so they left it up all day, all weekend
Nice.
or whatever. So,
That's pretty good.
yeah, I've already told you about getting commissioned as an engineer and doing my AT as an engineer, and then eventually, after I graduated, I remained an engineer rather than branch to medical service. I stayed in the same battalion. They moved me over to the S1 shop from being a platoon leader, and nothing really there. Most of the personnel actions done during the week between drills, and there's not a lot other than getting pay and accountability. Right. There wasn't much for me to do. And then they sent me to engineer school, and I pretty much told you about that. So, I applied to the military med school, and I told you the story about how I got in there. And then we go, as it starts, we go to Fort Sam. We do our officer basic for medical service. So I've already done an engineer basic, but this one was an Army basic. And for most people there, 40% of my class were prior service. So we know how to wear the uniform. We know how to salute. We know how to do D&C. And for the other 60%, we could teach them. And we just want to go to the river walk all the time. So in San Antonio, but it was a good time. I mentioned when we had the parasite infection, and that's last time, the dean and president of med school was Dr. Samford. He came to our group and we took a picture with him, and I was hanging out of a tree or something. I don't know where that picture ended up, but somewhere is a picture of our class with him at that first annual training. Then med school starts, and the first thing is I'm a fix-it kind of guy. Thank you to my brother, the Air Force mechanic, jet engines, avionics, cars, and now biomed. So I became the fix-it guy in our class, and we had this weird lighting audio-visual system, and there was like a whole series of knobs, and it wasn't clear what to do, but I figured it out. And every time we had a new professor come in, they'd kind of look at it and then I'd go down there and I'd flip all the stuff. So my class started getting used to calling my name every time, Hi, Mom. Mom's visiting to see the lights flicker.
She's really talking to you today.
Yeah. And she's here to listen to the stories, see what I didn't tell her.
Yeah, smart.
So, but apparently I missed a class one day, and we had a guest lecturer come in, and he looks at the audio visual and he goes, I guess I'm supposed to ask for Robin. And the class starts saying it, I'm not there. So I'm one day of glory. Then, by the first 2 years we're in the classroom. The next 2 years were in the clinics, in the hospitals.
Right.
And so they would do rotations every month or every 6 weeks, depending upon whether you're third years every 6 weeks and fourth years every month, every 4 weeks. So you did 10 rotations as a senior. And, can't remember how many rotations as a junior, but we have to go to different places. So, for example, I went down to, I think it was Fort Benning. It was Fort Benning, Fort Bragg. So the Army sends me down there on military orders to go shadow at the hospital. I was doing family practice. And so you go there and you're going to stay on base. And they have, before the hotels, they had the officer quarters and your enlisted quarters.
Right.
For travelers and stuff. And so the Army, rather than deal with cash, went to a government credit card.
Yeah.
The first government credit card they did was a Diners Club.
Okay.
And I go to Fort Bragg to check in. And I go, okay, I'm here. I have reservations. Yes, checking in, Lieutenant DeLeon. And I give him my orders. Okay, good. Do you have we need to hold a credit card. And I hand them my Diners Club. And they go, we don't take Diners Club.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, wait. This is Fort Bragg. We are standing on the base. You are government quarters.
Oh, that's too funny.
This is the government credit card. That's why they didn't give me cash beforehand. And you don't take it. So navigating that. There was also the issue of you're gone for 6 weeks and then you go to another rotation and the bills come due and they're harassing my wife at the time. You know, she's like, I don't have any money and he's gone to some other base. Find him. I'm not paying you. So we had all of these hassles with the first government credit card. But when I was there, all right, I was in primary care clinic doing like a family practice rotation. And a soldier comes in and sits down, and I'm going to take the story and do my physical. Then the doc will come in behind me and go over and teach, and then, you know, do the official diagnosis and treatment plan, whatever.
Right.
And sit there, and I go, Sergeant Smith. There, and I look at her. I go, "You're Sergeant Smith." Sergeant Anna Smith, from Brentwood High School, class of '82. She goes, yes, she's my classmate. We graduated together.
Wow.
So, like I said, the world is small, the Army's smaller.
Yeah.
Here's a sad story. During that rotation, this couple comes in. It's a Monday morning. They have their baby. Couple of months old.
Okay.
And they're saying the baby's been sick for a few days. They didn't want to go to the ER. All right. And so they waited till Monday morning because ER, you wait forever, you know, the hassles and stuff. And so, you know, I got the story, wrote it down. And remember, I'm not, you know, I've got some trauma experience from training and from New York City EMS. I'm learning the medical. And they unwrap the baby so I can listen to it and look. And the baby looks model color. And I'm like, you know, because sometimes babies can look funny. And I'm like, is that their normal color? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay. So I grab the doc. He comes in, immediately looks at the baby, and that experience kicks in. We're in crisis. The baby's about to die. Start CPR, start getting the IVs. Let's bag the baby. Let's get, you know, fluids going. Let's whatever. And in all of that, unfortunately, we're doing this for half an hour, you know, trying to resuscitate the baby, but we lost the baby.
Oh,
you know, that was my first loss, but you know, I have a mindset of, okay, you handle these things. This is what your life is. It's nothing. What we did, the lesson was the doc told us, hey, when this happens, you know, we went with the doc. There was another med student classmate with me at the clinic that day, and the three of us worked together with the nurses. So the three of us went to the funeral. To show our respects, you know, and stuff. So showing, you know, the connection that we care and stuff. And it's sad because, you know, on the one sense had the chaoticness of ERs, which has never been solved. Closest we get is you have these urgent care centers, you know, people can go to instead of the ER, but not everybody uses them. And so people end up waiting in ERs forever. And it's, you know, sometimes you make the wrong choice and say, I'll avoid the ER and I'll go to this place when you should have gone to there.
Right.
So I'm at one of the Air Force bases outside of DC on a OBGYN rotation.
Okay.
And OBGYN family practice, but we're doing labor and delivery. So I'm down in the basement. That's where they have their labor and delivery. So if you can imagine, the basement of any military hospital building is going to be these thick cinder block walls.
Yeah.
Right. And our lady's in labor, and her poor husband's standing there. Just kind of deer in the headlights, first kid, doesn't know what to do. She's in pain. She's saying all kinds of things, and we're just waiting for the baby, for her to advance so we can take her to the delivery room. So we got to come in periodically and, assess how far along she is.
Right.
And I'm in there with the doc. There's the husband, there's her and the nurse, and she's going to town. And all of a sudden, through the cinder block walls, we hear, "Just shoot me! Just shoot me!" Our lady stopped her labor to just turn and look. So,
wow.
I don't know what real labor pain feels like. I passed the kidney stone. I didn't think it was that bad. They say that's what guys have to go through to understand labor pain. I don't know. They also say that immediately after birth, the chemicals in the brain kick in the lady, so they're willing to do this again and have child number 2 or child number 3.
Yeah.
Because if they remember truly the pain of childbirth, maybe they never do it again. But,
I mean, it is impressive that what the body goes through during pregnancy and what they have to endure. I mean, it's just crazy.
It's just amazing the different. I mean, I grew up, I said, Catholic. Carlos and I, and I got the gist as a kid. But I focused on school and became a scientist and a doctor.
Yeah.
And I saw the hand of God in creation, in how complex the body is, in how it interacts. I saw the proof every day. The more I studied science, the more I studied the body, the more I saw the proof.
Yeah.
That was always my thing. And I remember being on that GYN team, and I had a really good rotation, good docs, got a lot of OR time. Even when I wasn't scrubbed in, I would still go in and watch and learn. They really liked me. They wanted me to go into OBGYN, but I'm still thinking emergency medicine because of my background.
Yeah.
But but we had this one lady who was a dependent spouse of a retiree who had advanced ovarian cancer.
Oh, wow.
And you have to go in every day and you're doing the belly exam and you can feel this big lump. And the issue was she looked like my mother.
Oh, wow.
So I told them, when that hit me, I can't do this. I can't do this specialty because I just, I can't be where I might see somebody looks like my mother or my sisters or whatever. It's just not where I started out. And I appreciate the recruiting me, but I just couldn't go there.
That's got to be tough, though. In a situation you're looking, and then all of a sudden you see your mom or sister or somebody there. I mean, that's got to really play with your psyche.
It kind of spins you, especially in a sad situation like that where she's got advanced cancer, and I can feel this tumor. I can feel the size of that, and you know. So fourth year, they have some required rotations and they set those up for us. And then we have a bunch of elective rotations and you set up whatever you want to do. Like I set up that ICU rotation in Madigan in the beginning. Well, I want to do a cardiology rotation. And so again, it was the Air Force Base. They got like a book you can look through and pick, and then you contact the doctor there. And the doctor was like, Colonel Rodriguez. I don't know if it was Rodriguez, but it was a Hispanic name. Right? We'll say Rodriguez. And I call him up and I say, hey, this is Lieutenant DeLeon. I like to rotate with you. He goes, excuse me, isn't that DeLeon? I said, well,
that's what I said.
But, people have problems pronouncing it. And they're like, isn't that their problem? I'm like, well, I guess it is. So ever since then, I went from Lieutenant DeLeon to Lieutenant DeLeon.
Okay.
So I kept the Spanish pronunciation after getting scolded by this Hispanic cardiologist. It was a great rotation, I remember one of the first patients I met had this weird thing called Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, where there's a slight short circuit in the beginning of the heartbeat. And it has a very distinct thing on the EKG. Yeah. And if you're not paying attention, you won't see it. And so fast forward, I'm in the ER at Madigan toward the end of my fourth year.
Right.
And the doc and some of the residents from a different patient than the one I'm working on come up and say, here, look at this EKG. And I go, Wolff-Parkinson-White. I didn't even look at it. I was just joking because I remember this term. And they're like, take it away.
Wow.
Like, right? I was just cool.
That's pretty cool though. That because you see things along the way, and if you hadn't seen it before, you probably wouldn't have known what it was, right?
No. Then I lived on Fort Meade. I got base housing on Fort Meade because I was on active duty, so I got base housing, and I would commute, to school or to, whatever. Well, I set up an ortho rotation. So Monday to Friday, no calls, no weekends. On base, 5 minutes from my house. And I've got 2 orthopedic surgeons, and I'm the first assist. I get to help them, be there with them personally. I get personalized attention. There's not a team of other things, and they have no residents they're teaching. It's just me. So it was cool. But about 2 weeks in, all of a sudden, this resident from Walter Reed shows up, and he's this big, arrogant guy. And so, but he gets all the attention because he's a resident. This is his specialty.
Oh, I see.
He needs to know this specialty. So one day we're in the operating room and they're doing a hand case, and they got the hand open on this side of the hand. And all of a sudden the resident pulls on this cord looking thing.
Like inside the hand?
Yeah, right here in the hand.
Okay.
And he goes, hey, Robin, what's this? Looks like a superficial branch of the radial nerve. I'm making this up. I don't know. He doesn't say a word. I go home. I bust open my anatomy textbook. I look. It's the superficial branch of the radial nerve. That bastard couldn't give me my once. I say, yeah, good job. He couldn't do that. And when he didn't even say good job. I was pissed about that. I'm like, you can't even say, hey, good job. You picked that up. That's the nerve right there.
Wow. That's crazy.
And now I know all the nerves because in rehab medicine, we have to know all the nerves and all the muscles and which nerve innervates which muscle, because
Mhm.
we're the muscle nerve experts of the body.
Okay.
All right. So I studied that later in residency, but there's so much information in med school that it just overwhelms you. But, you
Right.
pick up enough. And then with time, as I gained more patient experience, I got really good. And I was always good at my physical exam. So it was just adding that knowledge base.
And when you're doing the in medical school itself, you're doing overall general medicine, right? You're not
Yeah,
just
you do.
specialized.
Like you spend a month on internal medicine,
Mhm.
and you're getting the patients you get.
Right.
You might get a liver patient. Like, here's a story I just remembered. A dependent husband of a Navy officer
Mm-hmm.
worked HVAC and drank like a case a day.
Dang.
So he's in liver failure
Yeah.
at Walter Reed, or it was the Naval Hospital of Walter Reed, one of the two.
Yeah.
We weren't together at the time. And basically, when you eat food,
Mm-hmm.
it goes to your intestines, it gets absorbed into the bloodstream, and then
Okay.
the bloodstream takes it to the liver to detox and process and do some more enzymatics, and then it dumps it back into the veins to go to the heart to then go out to the body.
Okay. Makes sense.
Right? So if the liver is all sclerosed,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to get the blood through the liver. So the pressure backs up.
Oh, yeah.
So when the pressure backs up, all right, the water in the blood
Mm-hmm.
oozes out. And that's what edema is. So if the water
Oh,
out of the blood vessels ooze out in your legs swell.
interesting.
Right?
Okay.
You got edema.
Mm-hmm.
If your heart's failing, then the water could back up into your lungs and fill your lungs with water, and then you're drowning inside your lungs, whatever. But he had this belly that was just full of water.
Mm-hmm.
And it got so full that it's pressing up on his diaphragm, making it hard for him to breathe.
Wow.
So we got to get some of the fluid off.
Mm-hmm.
But if we take it all off, then suddenly, because the fluid is creating, fluid wants to leak out all around the belly, but that creates a back pressure to push fluid back into the arteries. And so you've got this balance.
Yeah.
All right. The back pressure from the liver pushing it out, then that fluid in the belly with all the muscles pushing back. So you get an eventual balance. And the stuff eventually makes it through the liver, but you got this balance. But the blood, the fluid leaking out is winning over time, which is increasing the pressure, so pressing up on the diaphragm. So we want to get down some of that pressure. So I think of a needle designed for a horse.
So a fairly large needle then.
Yeah. And fairly big diameter.
Yeah.
We poke it into his belly to drain fluid out, to
Okay.
take some of the pressure down, and took off like a gallon's worth of fluid, 1 or 2 gallons, I can't remember. And it barely made a dent in his belly size, because again, we can't pull 7 liters off, 8 liters off, or 7 gallons off, because then he'd go into shock.
Wow. Yeah.
Without that back pressure pushing, then a whole bunch of fluid's going to leak right back out into the belly all at once. He's going to dehydrate his blood system and go into shock. So you got to balance that. So, I remember pulling off like a gallon or so, these big tubs, so 4 liters of fluids, and barely making a dent in his belly waist size. but enough that he could breathe a little more. So,
That's crazy.
And can't think of any more med school stories at this time, but at the end of med school, like we do a field training exercise, and they expose us to the the field side, because we've been doing the medicine,
Right.
regular hospital clinic medicine, but we're in the military, so we got to do something in the field. So they take us to the field, we do some mass cow practices and stuff like that. And when we're done, we go to leave. And I don't know if I told this story, the bus doesn't start.
Okay. Yeah.
So once again, the bus is not starting, and here comes the chance. Robin. So I go up from the back of the bus, jump the starter solenoid, and it almost starts the bus. So I realized what to do. So I grab a loose wire from underneath the dash, and I just jump it, start the bus, handed the wire to the bus driver, and say, "Hey, when you stop to get gas, don't turn off the bus. But if you do, you take this wire, you touch here, while somebody's turning the key, or have somebody do that to restart this bus. Don't turn it off." So when we graduated, my classmates gave me a screwdriver, my graduation kind of gift, that I'm the guy that fixes things.
Yeah.
So, so that's all my med school stories I can think of right now. So I go to Washington and I go to internship. And, whenever I had med students, which wasn't all the time, if I had med students there, after we would do morning rounds, we would talk about the patients. We would make a plan for every patient, what we got to do today, what labs, whatever appointments, get them in for an ultrasound, get another CAT scan, whatever, and now I'm a doctor, so I can actually write orders.
Okay.
So then I grab the med students right after rounds and go, okay, your mod, your mission O day, you get this accomplished. Meet me back at 3:00, whatever. We'll do some teaching, and then we'll be ready for checkout rounds. So I always try to be efficient.
So I just want to clarify real quick. You're at this point, you're a doctor because you graduated. You're an actual doctor.
Yes.
And then you're, was it called
the year of training? The first year of postgraduate training, internship. The rest of it's called residency. So internship and residency, they go together. So the first year of postgraduate, PGY1, and then you have PGY2, PGY3, however long your residency is, from 3 years to 7 years, depending upon the specialty. All right.
Sorry.
So
I was just a little confused. I needed to.
I didn't want to waste guys' times sitting around doing nothing. I want them to have a task, and I want to have time to teach them about the patients, the little I know, about medicine from my experience, which is only, some textbooks and a few years old. So I'm not a super genius yet or ever, but, I could share the little bit of knowledge that I have.
Yeah.
So I always had the mission O day, the mod. And then, but my last rotation was in the CCU, the cardiac care unit. We have the ICU, and then we have the CCU. So you might have sepsis, pneumonia, trauma, multi-trauma patients, and then you have the cardiac care unit for just cardiac patients. Well,
makes sense.
This lady who was in her 70s started to have a heart attack. And the classic heart attack is, you have your arteries and feeding your heart, and you start getting blockage, some structures. It's like, think of going down a highway and they put up construction cones. So now you're down to one lane,
right?
But you're still going. Well, if you suddenly have an accident, a clot, that happens right at that obstruction, then everything downstream is not getting blood flow, is going to die. That's your heart attack.
Okay.
Classic cause of it is that obstruction, that plaque in your artery cracks, and your body is in a perfect balance between bleeding and clotting. So you right now, you bump something, you get a bruise at the microvascular level, you might have actually busted a little venule, but the platelets come in and immediately stop it, and boom, you don't bleed, you don't get a big bruise, stuff like that. But you talk to our parents, our grandparents who are on aspirin or something, aspirin messes with the platelets. So when they bump themselves, the platelets are much slower to plug that hole, so they will bruise easily. And they might even go, I got this bruise here. I don't know where it came from. All right. Because right now you're in the perfect balance. But when in that artery for the heart, when that plaque cracks, the platelets think there's a hole and it's going to shoot out blood everywhere. So they plug the hole. But in doing so, they plug the artery. So now you have a heart attack. So she comes into the ER in the middle of her heart attack. And if we get to you soon enough, fairly new at that time was the clot busters. We could give you something that would, because your body's constantly not only making clots, it's eating clots, making clots, eating clots, balancing itself, plugging holes, picking up the trash, replacing the plug with real asphalt. So, it's repairing itself and that constant balance. So now you've got a clot there, we want to eat it. So now we have some medications that'll eat the clot.
Okay.
So if you eat the clot, what you've done is you also, because it's going throughout your entire body and not just where the clot is, you decrease your body's ability to make clots if anything else bumps or bruises. All right.
Okay.
But right now you're dying. So, let's give you a clot buster and save your life.
Yeah.
Well, they did. It saved her life. But what's the risk of a clot buster? That you bleed. And where does she decide to bleed? In her brain.
Oh, geez.
So now she's got a stroke.
On top of the heart attack.
Right? But we stopped the heart attack, but now she's got a bleed in her head and we can't do anything about it.
Oh, my gosh.
All right. And then a few days later, she decides to have another heart attack. But now we can't do anything about it because if we give her more clot busters, she already bled in her brain. Now we just got to watch it and hope she doesn't die.
Holy
cow. So that's her story. She's been in the ICU for a couple of weeks now. It is the beginning of the month. I am rotating on service. The guy who I'm replacing wrote me a detailed list of every patient on service, telling me how they came in, what's going on, what the plan is, so that I can just step in and go. Well, he gets to this lady and it says, nothing to worry about. She's going to be discharged today. I've already got transportation scheduled. Move on. And I'm looking at that sheet and then I look up and she's intubated. And I'm like, well, she's not leaving if she's intubated. So we're working to get her tuned because her lungs, with her heart being so weak, the heart failure would cause the fluid to back up into her lungs and she can't breathe. So we have to intubate her to force the oxygen in so she can breathe.
Right.
So, but we can't keep her on the intubation. So we've got to kind of wean her and get her heart, really tuned up as strong best we can, get the fluid off her lungs, get the tube out. And she had gone through this cycle and then she decompensate, fluid lungs, get intubated, then wean. Wow. And so she was weaned the day before and had been weaned a couple of days ago and was getting better, and was getting ready to leave when she decompensated and got reintubated. So
wow.
in that cycle of trying to get her better, and we get her better, we get the tube out, start stabilizing her, and her family comes frequently and checks on her, you know.
Right.
It's a bunch of them, maybe 4 or 5 people, and then they leave, and then suddenly she gets anxious, and when she gets anxious, her blood pressure goes up. When her blood pressure goes up, her heart can't pump against it, so it fails. Fluid builds up in her lungs. She can't breathe. We put the tube in. So I watched this happen.
So it's just over and over.
Yeah, so I watched this happen, and I thought about it. And so we get her weaned again, and we get her extubated. All right, for like the 4th time. And for me, the first time or something, but she's already been, this happened to her multiple times.
Right.
So today, if you run into a junkie, I'm going to go way back for a second. I'm going to go back to my EMT days in 1987.
Okay.
All right. We get a call to the projects by the mother. Her 25-ish old son is passed out on the ground.
Okay.
He's a slender, muscular-ish type guy. And I jump on him and I check the pulse in his neck, and I'm watching his breathing. And I do that for 30 seconds. I can count both. And then I multiply both by 2, and I get the heart rate for a minute and the breathing rate for a minute. My partner's jumping and getting the blood pressure. So in 30 seconds, we've got all his vitals.
Wow.
All right.
Okay.
So I'm doing his pulse and his respiration. His pulse rate was in the high 30s. So somewhere 75 to 80-ish. His respiratory rate was 2. So for a minute, he was breathing 4 times and he's out cold. So his brain's not telling him to breathe. So
holy cow.
So I have to breathe for. If you're not going to breathe, I'm going to breathe for you.
Right.
So the biggest obstacle is the tongue. So we have this plastic hooky looking thing. We call it a J hook, and we shove it in there and it holds your tongue so it doesn't fall all the way back. I get the bag. I start bagging you and breathing for you. Right. He has enough. He has an adequate pulse and he has an adequate blood pressure. So I just got to keep breathing for him. We package him up, get him to the ER. I'm still bagging him the whole way. We get to the ER. I'm bagging him. The nurse comes in, starts the IV. I'm bagging. Here comes the doc with the syringe. He sticks it into the IV, looks at the patient, and goes, and nothing happens. So he hits it again, and all of a sudden the patient bolts up, eyes wide open, pushes the bag away, coughs out the J tube, and he's perfectly awake. And the doc starts ODing on whatever heroin, narcotics he was, because the doc gave him Narcan.
Oh, okay.
Right? We all know Narcan, narcotics, and it is instantaneous.
Wow.
The only problem with Narcan is it will wear off before the narcotic wears off. So you got to start a Narcan drip, or 30, 40 minutes from now, they're going to pass out again.
Wow.
So I have that experience as an EMT. I've seen Narcan work and work like that. So fast forward, I'm in this ICU, and the family comes and visits, has a great visit. She's talking to them, all right, and we've got her heart tuned and everything else with all the meds and stuff, and they go to leave. She gets anxious again. Her blood pressure starts going up. Her oxygen saturation goes down. Her heart rate goes up, makes her even more anxious, and she starts crashing. So the
Wow.
nurse is like, oh my God, we got to do something. I'm like, okay, let's not intubate her. Let's give her some Ativan, which is the cousin to Valium.
Oh, okay.
Very rapid onset. So let's just calm her down.
Yeah.
All right. So we give her a little bit of Ativan. She calms down way too much. Her blood
Oh,
pressure tanks and she passes out. So I put her upside down with her head down to get all the blood flow going there because she's got a very weak blood pressure. She's got a tachycardia
oh, I
and she's
see.
out cold. She's going,
Yeah.
she relaxed way too much. So I've got her head down. The nurse is in panic mode. And I'm like, I remember there's a new drug out. And just like there's Narcan for narcotics, there's flumazenil with the nickname Reversed. So you give somebody Versed, and if you want to reverse it, you give them Reversed. So I had heard about medication. So I called to the pharmacy, and the nurse is in panic mode over here. Call the resident. I'm like, no, I got this. I've been a doctor for a year. So I call the pharmacy, say, send me what you got. You got flumazenil? Yeah. Send me what you got on. They send me the little package in, so I read it real quick and I go, okay, send me some. They send it to me. I push it in. Her blood pressure stabilizes.
Okay.
She wakes up. Her saturations get better. And she doesn't have to get intubated.
Wow. Okay.
So I talk it over with the staff, and stuff. And I come up with the bright idea. Because this lady's been in the ICU for a month, if not more, 5 weeks maybe.
Wow. Yeah.
And all you hear is beep, 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 or an alarm, beep, 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 from an alarm over there, or you hear the beeps on yours, and that's all you hear. And there's no sunlight, daylight, nothing.
Right. Yeah.
They even call it ICU psychosis. Because you don't have your normal stimuli and you're sick and all this is going on. So I'm like, she needs a road trip. So I talked to staff and they agree with me. And I talked to the head nurse and they agree. And we pack up all the monitors and we wheel her bed out down the hallway. And we get to a hallway with big windows so she could look outside.
Okay.
We're in the new Madigan, and the new Madigan's got this big pond fountain out front. So that road trip goes well.
Okay.
She enjoys it up a storm. So a day or two later, we're going to do this again. And we put her in a wheelchair, and her family comes, and we take her all the way outside and let her feed the ducks.
Okay.
Just get her out of the ICU, give her life, give her reason. And before I left service, as I was leaving service, because it was a month-long rotation, we got her to the step-down unit. So we kept her alive long enough that she had enough recovery that we were able to get her out of the ICU into the step-down unit. And then I graduated and I left for Fort Campbell. So I don't know anything after that. But for that rotation, I just wanted to get that lady a reason to smile.
Right.
Have a good day, and, so I was really happy with that. Then I went to Fort Campbell and I told you some of the stories about checking in with my brigade commander and, him seeing I was already air assault. So I was good to go. Told you about parasites and the combat lifesaver bag and doing the EMT program and stuff. Well, at Fort Campbell, you're air assault. So we own our helicopters. We have an aviation brigade for attack. We have an aviation brigade for assault. So the attacks had the Cobras, and then the Apaches. The assault were the troop carriers, and they had the Hueys and now the Blackhawks.
Okay.
And then the lift, which were the Chinooks that carried all your Hummers and
Oh, I see.
Deuce
Yeah.
Halves and everything else, and all your supplies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So in an air assault operation, all the troops get on the Blackhawks, the Apaches are covering fire, and then the Chinooks bring in your supplies behind you.
Right.
The medevac is flying around with Blackhawks, getting the wounded out of there. I already talked about that. So for some reason, even though I'm assigned to infantry,
Mm-hmm.
all division docs have to be flight surgeons.
Okay.
Even though I don't work in the aviation brigade, even though I don't work with the aviators and do all the flight medicine, all that kind of stuff, everybody has to be a flight surgeon. So they send me to flight school in the winter of '94.
Okay.
And as a side note, I'll tell this piece of the story for my kids. I was building a house. And so while I was waiting for my house to be built, I needed a furnished place that I could rent month to month until my house was built. And then I could move my household goods, which were in storage, because the Army had only delivered once.
That's right.
So I was in a trailer park, and I had to be in the school district where my kids were going to school. So I found a trailer park that would do that. And while I was gone to flight school, Fort Campbell had like the once every 7 years ice storm that knocked out power. And my ex with the newborn baby and the two kids had to go hang out at the Red Cross shelter relief stuff. And I heard about it for many years afterwards while I was in Fort Rucker, Alabama, Mother Rucker.
They're holding that over your head.
So, but I go to flight school, and as I call up, to get some details about when I arrive, the NC on the other end says, this is the details. By the way, Captain, you're the class president. And I was like, why? Because you are. I don't know why.
Okay.
I get there. There's majors, there's lieutenant colonels. Why am I the class president?
Huh.
For no reason whatsoever. So we did PT Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we would have PT at 6:30 till 7:30. Shower, class starts at 9.
Okay.
On Tuesday, Thursday, we had class started at 8. So we had no time for PT in the morning.
Right.
So midway through the class, we went out to some museum-y thing, and I'm of the mindset, you're adults. Your doctors, your PAs, you are adults. I'm going to treat you as an adult. You have a car. If you want to drive to this and then leave afterwards, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
If you're going to ride the bus, then I just need to know how many people are riding the bus so that I don't leave anybody.
Right.
So we go and, I count people. We get on the bus. We go to this field trip, whatever. We come back, and it was, let's say, a Tuesday. And so Wednesday morning is PT, but it was supposed to rain Wednesday morning. And the people on the bus will, what do we do if it rains? How do we know whether we're going to cancel PT? I'm like, well, if it is obviously pouring, if it is torrential downpour tomorrow morning, which is what it's scheduled to do, no PT. Because we had no contact, like the schoolhouse was done for the day.
Yeah.
There was nobody in the offices to ask. And I'm like, and at that time in the 90s, I had pagers. We didn't have cell phones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Major. Yeah, buddy.
So I'm like, if it's obviously sunny and not raining, we're having PT.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's in the middle, we have a phone tree. We're all in the barracks or just off base, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, formations at 6:30. I'll make a call, before 6 o'clock, and then I'll put it out. And PT's like right out of the barracks, right there in the field. So normally I wake up at 6:20, brush teeth, shave real quick, and go outside,
Right.
get ready. So I set my alarm at like 6 o'clock just to make a weather call. And at 5:55, I get a phone call and I pick it up. And the NCO was the NCOIC of the schoolhouse over us was Beakston or something.
Okay.
And a PA in our class was like Fees or something.
Mm-hmm.
Names sound familiar. Phone rings, I pick it up, and I hear, "Hey, this is Fees. It's raining outside. No PT, right?" And I go, "Yeah, no PT. Got it. I'll tell everybody." I thought it was the NCOIC. It was my PA asking me. So I hit the phone tree, and I go back to bed and show up at 9 o'clock to class. Well, apparently at 6:25, the skies parted and the rain stopped. Like 5 people showed up to PT, and the OIC of our class, all right, he's part of the schoolhouse. He's not part of our class.
Yeah.
The OIC, NCOIC, they run the schoolhouse class, whatever. He's a captain. He was pissed.
Yeah.
That we skipped PT. And he came to me and was like, "Who gave you authority to cancel PT?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm the class president." He's like, "Well, they wouldn't cancel it if this was like, flight, if we were in airborne training." I'm like, "Well, we're not in airborne training. We're like at flight school for docs. Okay.
Yeah.
This is not airborne school." All right. So he gets all set. I'm like, "Well, we missed one session of PT."
Yeah.
All right. Whoop-de-doo. He wants to make it up. But you can only make it up on a Tuesday or Thursday. And since the class is set in time, you can't move the classes back because you have different people coming into lecture. They already have their time.
Right.
So the only way to do it is to do it earlier.
Oh, geez.
So to have PT at 5:30 in the morning till 6:30 to give us a chance to shower, whatever, you dress. Well, at 5:30 in the morning, there is no light nowhere in February of Fort Rucker, Alabama.
Yeah.
The roads are not open for running on PT, running off for PT. They're not closed yet. It doesn't close till 6:30. So we can't run on the roads.
Mm-hmm.
We got a dark field we're on with a nearby street light.
Mm-hmm.
So we do our formation and push-ups, sit-ups, the whatever. And then he wants to do some running. But again, we can't run on roads. So he wants to do shuttle runs across the field.
Okay.
Well,
field that probably has potholes and all kinds of stuff in them.
Yeah, and you can't see in the dark.
Yeah.
So who goes down? A lieutenant colonel pulmonologist on her right shoulder, and she's right-handed.
Oh,
so
no.
The pulmonologist has to do the bronchoscopes and hold that up and then look and stuff. So she can't drive the bronchoscope. She's going to be limited going back to practice, and she happens to be in the reserves.
Oh, no.
She's not active duty. So the Army has to pay her lost wages. So this guy's got to run around for making us do PT and get all the paperwork done so she can do this. Now, he was 1 year ahead of me in med school. He wasn't in my med school. He went to another med school.
Okay.
And when I was in internship, he was in Korea as a flight surgeon.
Okay.
And now he's at Fort Rucker.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 93 to 94. Okay. That timing is critical.
Okay.
An ER residency is 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of 94 or the summer of 94, if he had done residency, he'd be done in the summer of 97.
Okay.
I'll just put that out there. That'll come back later to another story. Let's see. What else do I have at flight school? We had a couple of international docs. One of them was from Thailand. And so
Okay.
going out the back gate was a Thai restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
So we all go together, a bunch of us go, let's go out to lunch. Okay, the Thai doc comes with us. We go into the Thai restaurant. He walks straight past the maitre d' person, welcoming person, straight into the kitchen. The lady seats us, brings us our water, doesn't take our order. About 10 minutes later,
Mm-hmm.
here comes that Thailand doc out of the kitchen with our food. And all he said was, "It is hot." And I'm not a hot guy, but man, it was good, but it was hot. So I don't want stuff at that table.
You're sweating while you're eating.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, hot lunch. All right. So that's all the stories from flight school that I remember.
All right.
And so summer, that was 94 early.
Uh-huh.
Summer of 94, June, I go to NTC. My brigade goes to NTC. My first time going to the big war games.
Mm-hmm.
And before we go into the box, I set up a aid station in like this hangar-y building. All right. And so my PAs, their first focus is getting all their aid station stuff offloaded onto the vehicles, ready for the jumps, ready for everything else, organizing their equipment. My medical company is doing that, and I'm focused on giving me a couple of supplies. I'm going to set up an aid station right here. So while they're all doing that, I can take care of any sick call.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then as the PAs are able, they'll come and relieve me so I can go to meetings and stuff before we go into the box.
Right.
So then all of a sudden, I'm in that hangar building, which echoes, and I hear, "Yo, Robin!" And I look up, I go, "Yo, Bobby!" It's my cousin from the Bronx.
Nice.
He's a medic with one of the attachments that came and joined us.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know what base he came from, but again, the world is small and the Army's smaller.
Yeah, that's very true, man.
Yeah, Carlos might remember him. He was the Cruz family. They were like, my parents came from America, so they didn't have their parents, and the Cruzes were like grandparents, so parents to them, and like grandparents to us. And one of their grandsons was Bobby, and Bobby and I were similar in age with Carlos and stuff. Mm-hmm. So he may remember Bobby or not, Bobby Cruz.
Okay.
But let's see. And during that rotation, the brigade commander is flying with the aviation battalion commander.
Okay.
All right. And they have a hard landing.
Ooh.
All right. Nobody gets hurt. Aircraft is just a little sunk in the mud.
Okay.
All right. And so it's considered an accident, an aviation accident. So they got to do an investigation. Mm-hmm. And now everybody's got to go to the ER and do samples. When any of you drunk, when you're on drugs, whatever.
Oh, right.
I don't know where I was, but they came and grabbed me. Now, the
Mhm.
aviation come with their own flight docs.
Right.
I don't know why they grabbed me, but they grabbed me and sent me to the ER, and I'm like, okay, I've never done one of these. I don't practice aviation medicine, but at flight school, they said there's like, protocols on what has to be drawn.
Right.
So I'm talking to the ER and I'm like, okay, do you guys, because you've had a lot of aviation here, you may have dealt with this before. Do you have any protocols or anything on what I should draw, stuff like that? I just know a bunch of blood and urine.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know. And in my duffel, which is on the convoy, I have my flight medicine handbook, which would tell me what to do. I'm fine with my 8-bag rock, ready for the fight and whatever. I'm not next to my duffel.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. As the pilot showed up, as grade commander shows up, one by one, I'm like, if there's a color tube, give it to me. I'm drawing every rainbow color tube you got. And I need a urine sample. And I label everything and set it aside and go, okay, I'm going to go to my duffel, get my book, come back, and we're going to figure out what we need to order. Right. You guys got this. Don't do anything with it till I come back. All right. And they're like, okay. So I leave the ER, go get the thing, come back and say, we got to order this. And then they're like, oh, we don't have chain of custody of that. Even though it's sitting there, chain of custody has to be maintained, or somebody could say somebody swapped this sample for that sample. And so it's not me, it's a whole legal thing, and then they're like, oh, okay, it was sitting there. Nobody touched it. So yes. Oh, well, we have the box right here that tells you what you should do. I'm like, you bastards.
What?
I would have known what to draw, and I would have done the orders already and handed it off.
Oh, geez.
So, but no harm, no foul. So a lot of lessons learned at NTC, and then we're back out in the field and stuff. And over the years, we go through several different tents. And we had a GP medium, which had some tent poles in the middle, and we just got used to weaving around them.
Right.
All right. Which was, you just kind of develop a routine, you figure out your layout and everything else, and you just work with the tent equipment you got. Then one field problem, they decide to get us a bigger tent, a GP large, so general purpose large tent. This thing's a circus tent. It's massive. It's got this one big, massive center pole, and two of the GP mediums just have two medium poles. All right. And we have our layout. We'll run some 550 cord and create a little corner with some space blankets, and we have a privacy area. So we have to do something. Drop your trousers. We got a privacy. We got it all mapped out, but they come with the GP large. So we have this big center pole, two additional poles. We got this massive thing, way too big. Plus, it takes everybody to put it up. And it just so happened that it was raining all day, and we're putting up all these tents, and the tent pegs are popping out of the ground, and all these tents are falling down.
Yeah.
So, I do night shift. Whenever we go to the field, I have my PA and myself. I do night shift, mass cows. My PA does day shift and mass cows.
Okay.
All right. So, but if somebody gets hurt in the middle of the night, they come wandering in. All right. I don't want them to have to find me or find a medic. So I have two medics on duty with me and myself, and we just sleep in the tent. And if somebody comes in the middle of the night, we just roll out of bed and boom, boom, boom. And then the PA and everybody else comes in the morning, relieves the two night guys, The PA comes in, relieves me. I go do a little nap, and then I come back and I'm good to go for the rest of the day. And then I go to sleep. So most nights I get a full night's sleep and it's no big deal. But if I get disturbed in the middle of the night, it's only the three of us and we have a rotation. All right.
Yeah.
So the three of us are in, and we have one of those folding card tables, the big ones, but the metal ones, and whatever, military heavy duty tables.
Right.
All right. So we bust that out. We got a table. On the table, we put our chests. All right. And the chest with the drawers and the chest with the trauma stuff. And then we have other chests underneath and other chests under the litters and stuff like that.
Right.
We have like 3 chests on top of this table. Well, all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, I hear a big rip, a crack, and the tent falls on us. Now, the center pole kicked out, but it hit on the table on top of the thing. So you've got this lean-to space. And I'm like, you guys okay? Yeah. Are you dry? Because it's raining hard outside. And I'm like, yes. Okay. We're sleeping in here. We'll deal with it in the morning. Because we're not going to put this tent up in the middle of the night. We'll deal with it if somebody shows up in the middle of the night. We'll deal with it. But for right now, we're dry. We're off the ground and we're safe. So, and in the morning we crawled out. The tent was torn. It had to be chucked. We went back to a GP medium. I have heard that now again in my company or in the infantry battalion, as an example, you have the aid station with the PA. You have a dock slot, but a dock doesn't sit in it until you go to war or you go to serious war games. Then they pull a dock, professional filler system, Profis, pull a dock out of the hospital and put them in that slot.
I see. Okay.
All right. And in the medical company, the treatment platoon has 3 squads, and each squad is the equivalent to an aid station, PA doc, with medics, NCOs, and worker bees. But when we're not at war, it's just the 2 of us.
Right.
We have the slots for those extra people. Well, some other brigade or something was doing a field exercise, and some docs were pulled in, and urban legend is the commanding general came out and talked to the docs, and the docs were like, well, these tents suck, whatever. So the general made everybody change their tents. So we got these A-frames. These A-frames are really nice in that they're just these metal A shape. So instead of a straight leg, it has a little kink and a cross member, thus the A. Right. And the tent goes to the outside. So the center is all open.
Right.
There's no center poles, and it's easier to put up. That's good. Except the door is like a submarine hatch. So it has a lip at the bottom you have to step over.
Right. Yeah.
Now you have to step over that while you're carrying a litter and not trip and fall.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah.
So we put sandbags there so you would step over it. And I had the rule that, as they were bringing patients in, it was 4 people on the litter. You go to 2 up front. The one guy guides the other guy through the door. And as soon as he gets through the door, then switch to 2. And the 2 guys in the back, same thing. And as soon as they get through the door, switch back to 2.
Right.
Nobody's going to die so fast rushing through that door. And if they're dying while they're rushing through the door, or if they died while they're rushing through the door, I wouldn't have stopped it anyway. I don't want anybody getting hurt through the door. So we had that problem with the door. But after we got that, we had this one company commander, awesome guy. So I had the 3 company commanders. One was the guy I went to engineer school with. that was learning it. You know, he transferred from engineering to medical service and was learning it, and I was learning it. So we learned together and figured out a lot of things. Then I had another company commander who was not a good tactical guy. However, he did agree to have the first sergeant was Jose Colon, the guy that I worked with early on, the guy from brigade who knows everything. And with him, I could work with him, and my treatment tent was amazing. Just kept getting better and better. The more we trained, the better we got, the more I developed systems and whatever and solved problems. And then the third company commander, Dave Spiro, he was the guy that was the medevac pilot. At the moment he showed up, suddenly all these radios showed up, and he was communicating and had the medevac pilots hanging out in his talk, you know, and they could just take off from there and be closer to the battle. So, and the PA we had, no, she was Spiro. Oh man, I can't remember the names. Barbara something, Dave and Barbara. But she was, you would think she grew up with the infantry rangers. Her tactical mindset and her medicine practice was awesome. Her no bullshit, you know, she had no fear of being dirty. We're going to be in this. She was just a super genius. Awesome. Nice. We had this team of us, and Dave came out, hey, if they have incoming stuff like that, let's dig a bunker and we'll put all the patients in the company in it. So by hand, the company dug a bunker.
Oh, wow.
And took some of those tent stakes that use a concertina wire, knocked them into the sides, and we can put the litters on them. So we can get a couple of litters in there. We can get the company in there. The brigade commander saw it and was like, this is amazing. I want this every time we jump, every time we move, every time we come to the field. I want this. And I'm going to give you engineer assets every time.
Ooh, so nice.
Every time we set up, this engineers came with the backhoe, dug our hole. We got wood supplies and we put in the floor in our tent. So now we've got a wooden floor, and we made it modular where we just unscrew it and then throw it in the back. Like it was made with pallets and plywood. It was made with pallets and plywood, and we just chucked it in the back and would bring it back out every field problem. So now we had a floor.
Nice.
But, you know, I don't want a dirty floor. So I got a broom and I started sweeping my floor. And that became my thing. In every unit for the rest of my career, I swept the floor of my aid station. I swept it. That's my floor. And you'd be surprised how many NCOs would come in and see the colonel sweeping the floor and try to take my broom from me or assign a PFC. I'm like, nope. In fact, one unit engraved my name on the broom. And we'd have people from the talk, can I borrow your broom? You got to talk to the colonel.
It's the colonel's broom.
You know, and I'd go to NTC and JRTC, and they say, why is the colonel sweeping? Why are you letting him sweep? It's like, it's the colonel. You don't argue with the colonel. He's going to sweep the floor. That's just what it is. So
that's awesome.
We had the cleanest floor on the battlefield.
We're good.
Okay. So here's one. Now I was with the middle company commander when I had Jose Colon as my first sergeant. Awesome guy. All right. I think we were at JRTC, and you know, the Op 4 start probing the perimeter and people start shooting whatever, and it's near, you know, stand 2 time. And so I'm in my bunk. All right. I don't do stand 2.
Okay.
Right? I told you that story with the medic at brigade. With the brigade staff, when they put him on the line, then he got hit and he was the biggest guy in the company, had to drag off. Then they didn't have a medic.
Yeah.
So I understand too, but the two medics in the tent with me, they stayed in the tent with me, still in their bunks. They didn't even get out to defend me or anything. And Jose comes in and sees the two of them, and he's like, I can't yell at the captain, but you two.
Nice.
But
oh man, that's good.
We go to the field and we come home. You know, we're in the field 4 weeks or whatever of our 6-week cycle. And I get home, and I'm home that night in my bed, and I get a phone call. And it's from one of the line companies.
Okay.
And they're missing a bayonet.
Oh, geez.
And the issue is the soldier got injured. He got evac to the medical company. We evac'd him further to the base hospital.
Okay.
Well, when he got evac to us, he had his bayonet on him. He left his weapon with the unit, but he kept his bayonet. But a bayonet is a sensitive item.
Right. Yeah. Well, serialized item as well, right?
Beats me. They never issued me one. But he gets to the ER, and the ER staff, you know, Blanchfield, they're like, he can't come in here with a bayonet. So the medics, the evac crew, took his bayonet.
Right.
They come back, and they turned it into the first sergeant.
Okay.
The first sergeant didn't call the company to say, you know, whose bayonet is this and whatever. So he put it in the company safe.
Ah, I see. Okay.
And then we left the field, and now it's in the company safe back in garrison. Well, the company's trying to clear and go home, but they need to count for all the sensitive items, and they're missing a bayonet. So they're calling me because the last thing the company knows, he was evac. So DeLeon must know the solution.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on at bayonet, but let me call my first sergeant. He goes, yeah, we have it in the company safe. I'm like, well, I'm going to call back the guy that called me, the company commander, and have him call you directly so that you guys can coordinate and get the bayonet, you know? And if well, we can give it in the morning. I'm like, I don't think they want to wait till morning. He didn't sound happy. And then I called back the company commander, and the first sergeant answers. He's like, company commander's in with the battalion commander. So nobody's happy here. But okay, here's the first sergeant's number, and you first sergeants talk, and you figure it out, you know. But it just got that kind of idea that I'm the guy that solves stuff. And I told you I would go to the brigade staff meetings, and I was like the first doc and that anybody knows that was going to these staff meetings. Well, my second XO, he was this big athletic football player, whatever, college, you know, love PT, live for PT kind of guy.
Right.
Good news is our NCOs that ran the PT program loved variety. So it wasn't just come out, do some arm stretches, do the push-ups, sit-ups, a grass drill, and a run. They do circuit training. They do something varied every time. And the XO one day goes, we're going to do a 10K for PT tomorrow, so that the next time you're at a party and somebody asks you your 10K time, you could tell them. And I'm thinking, when has that ever come up in conversation? No one has
not come up in my experience in conversation.
But okay. And I tell them as we're setting up the next morning, because I'm the best brigade runner, do you have somebody at every turn? Because we're not going around a circle on a track.
Oh, no.
All right. We're going out down the road. You know, if somebody doesn't tell us where to turn, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
And the guy that was supposed to tell us to turn wasn't at the spot when I got there. So going from first to third, by the time I ran the extra half, 3/4 of a mile and figured out that the turn was back there. So I didn't finish first in the brigade PT 10K run because I got lost.
That's awesome.
College buddies would tell you that's not unusual. in college, I was running the steeplechase where you have the horse barrier you jump over during the 2-mile run. And after one of them has a water pit. Well, most tracks, you go outside, like you have the big oval, and then off in the corner is where the water pit is. So you have to go wide in the turn to come around, hit the water pit, then you end up in the straightaway.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So they have cones out there to tell you as you're going through the turn, go wide. We're on our home track where I work out every day. And I don't follow the cones. And then my buddies, and I'm in first place, my buddies go, hey, come over here. So I get lost on my own track. And one time we were doing a run, my buddies tell me about this one too, bug me about it. And that we're running some race and I come in first, except I stopped at the wrong finish line.
Oh, no.
The real finish line was like 10 more meters forward. So instead of being first, I ended up like second or third. And somebody goes by me and I realize it. Oh, crap, man, I got to actually start running again. So my friends make fun of me for getting lost on my own track. So I tell them, you got to have people at the turns because I'm going to miss stuff. So,
that's pretty good.
And then he would always ask me, that same XO would always be like, the medical fun fact of the day. Meanwhile, I'm in the meeting with a big slam Pepsi and Debbie cakes. And I'm like, well, the fun fact of the day, sir. We argue, I'm a better runner. And then we go out to qualify and stuff. And, you know, we got all these infantry guys on brigade staff, but you have the special staff officers and myself and the commo guy. And I come in first. He comes in second. So the two non-infantry guys were the two best shots in the brigade.
Oh, nice.
And this was in the 90s during the Clinton era. And in the Clinton era, we didn't have money for bullets. We didn't have money for copy paper. If you wanted to make copies, you had to bring your own paper from Walmart. And God forbid the Xerox machine ran out of ink because there was no ink.
You
didn't have money to buy another ink cartridge.
Yeah.
So when we went to qualify, it was 30 bullets. There was no practice. Here's your 30 bullets. Qualify. If you qualify, good. If you fail, you boloed. We'll see you next time around. There was no remediation and reshoot until you qualify. So I went from best shot to the next time my weapon kept shooting low left, a 9mm, and I boloed. I did not qualify. So I go from best shot to boloing, and I had to hear about that for a while.
Nice. You know, that's how you know they like you. They give you a hard time, you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. In fact, you know, I'd been in the military, you know, whatever, however many years by now, and then they get me, my first military coin was my brigade coin.
Okay.
All right. So I still carry that, the Rakusan coin, and where the Rakusan, as I told you, that's from Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You know, when we jumped into Japan to occupy, they saw the airborne and they didn't know what it was. So it looked like umbrella and they said Rakusan. So we kept the name and we kept the Torii.
Yeah.
All right. That welcome symbol. And so I got my first brigade coin. And right after I got it, you know, we had PT and they're like, hey, Doc, where's your coin? And I'm like, in my uniform, I'm in my PTs. They're like, oh, you owe us. You owe me a drink, Doc. So I've never been caught without my coin, either this or my personal, which I owe you a coin. And then one of the RS4 who became my XO, who eventually became the brigade commander after I left and then made general, and I saw him during one of my deployments. He's wandering through. He's a 1-star, and I'm a lieutenant colonel. I think it was a lieutenant colonel or colonel, can't remember. And he's there, and I'm like, hey, sir, you know, I'm going on another deployment. So again, the world is small and the Army's smaller, but he started calling me Dakasan because you have Rakasans, and then the doctor for the Rakasans is the Dakasan. Some of them will call me Raka Doc, but I like Dakasan. So you can see my road name, my screen name is all Dakasan. And then when I got to my medical company, you know, we're going to the field all the time. We're supposed to have one of the things that the medical company has is power. Like an aid station doesn't have power. We have a generator, which means we can run lab, which means we can run x-ray, means we can run dental. And if needed, they can add a surgical team to us because we can support the OR. We don't have a surgical team organic, but they can add it to us because we have power and we have patient hold. So they can do surgery. We have power. They can watch the patient for a while and then evac, whatever. So we're supposed to have x-ray, but I get there and we had the old cartridge x-ray system, but we had no tech. And then they were changing it out to something else. And we didn't have the film. And then we didn't have it. And we finally got the machine. We had all the film we needed, but our tech was at school. So our tech taught one of the medics how to manage and do all the settings for the x-ray machine. So we get somebody in with an injury, I'll say an ankle injury, and we want to look and see if they have a broken foot. But I don't want the first time we use this on a human being in case the settings are wrong and suddenly they glow in the dark. So I want to test this thing. And so I put my coin down. We put like mud and sticks, and then I put my coin down. And we x-rayed my coin.
That's cool.
And so I have an x-ray of my coin. Got a couple of them.
Very nice.
That's cool. And then we x-rayed the guy's leg and it was okay and stuff, you know. Then here's a stupid story. It's a Saturday. I'm going to the PX. I am with my 6-7-year-old son. All right. We're leaving the PX after doing whatever we're doing. And I see this car drive up right in front of the PX into the handicap parking. But I notice it's two soldiers. And one of them marks with the handicap placard in the window. Then they get out and I'm waiting to see, are they on crutches or something? You know, maybe they just had a surgery. So that's why they're parking handicapped, but they're just walking in. So I'm like dragging my son, hey, stop. You know, I'm Major DeLeon at this point. I'm Major DeLeon. I whip out my ID card. I said, I'm a doc here. Are either of you on profile? No. Then why are you parking in the handicap spot? And there's two specialists. One of them says, I didn't see it, and then shuts up after that. The other one's like, we didn't. I'm like, it's right there. And they go, oh, it doesn't matter. I said, yes, it does.
It doesn't matter.
It's my mother's. Well, why are you parking there? If you're not on profile, why does it matter? And I'm like, because there might be somebody who's injured or an old person that needs that and they need to be closer. All right. And I see their unit there with the 86th Combat Support Hospital. So I get their names and say, move your car now before I call the MPs. They move their car and I go about my business. And then Monday morning, I show up to the 86th. All right. And I say, hey, Sergeant Major, I had 2 of your soldiers. This happened over the weekend. And he's like, yeah, frickin' frack, you know. And then some time goes by and one of them comes in on sick call, and I'm running it with the 86 camera at that aid station has set up, and he's complaining of stomach flu, like nausea and stuff.
Right.
But he reeks of alcohol. He's just drunk with the hangover and doesn't want to go do PT.
Yeah.
I'm like calling his unit to come get him, and I've got another story about him, but I'm not going to tell that one. But yeah, he was a problem child. EFMB, and I mentioned before, the Expert Field Medical Badge. All right. Well, they talk about 10% pass rate. It's a skills test of soldier skills and medical skills, land nav, a written test, and a 12-mile ruck march.
Right.
All right. So at the time, you had to do CPR was one of the stations, and I was a CPR instructor. But you can't like, you see my card, I'm good to go. You have to actually do it. And every day in practice, they kept telling me my arms were bending. And if you make any of the slightest mistakes, you're out. And the day I had passed every other day, this was the last day before the ruck march, and I'm doing CPR, and I'm so focused on my elbows, I do the most perfect CPR I've ever done in my life. Absolutely perfect. But at the end of 1 minute, you're supposed to stop and check for a pulse. And they say, no pulse, resume CPR. Well, in those days, you're supposed to give 2 breaths and then go back to the chest.
Right.
I got the 2 breaths and I went right back to the chest, and that's a no-go.
Right.
So the next day when they're doing the ruck march, I've already flunked out. I had to call my company commander to come get me because it was on Fort Campbell. So, and I'm at the, graduation stands, to cheer on the rest of the guys. Maybe, and there's my staff officers and stuff. Hey, where are you? I thought you'd be out there. How did you fail this? Like, I failed on a medical task. Failed on a medical.
Oh, man.
Oh, then one day I'm doing sick call, and this soldier comes in, some NCO. He has, I'll say, a head cold. I don't know, sinus infection or something. So he is, sitting in front of me. I get the story. I examine him. I'm writing my note, getting to write his prescriptions. With my head down like this, I'm like, I reach over, I grab the phone, and I turn it around. And I said, you have 2 choices. You can call a DAPC, which is the alcohol drug treatment program, or I can call the MPs because you're drunk on duty. And I just kept writing. Now, if you have an addiction problem and you tell the Army, they will bend over backwards to take care of you.
Right.
But if you get busted with a problem, that's an entirely different thing. So he calls a DAPC, goes away. 6 months later, many months later, this guy comes in and he goes, excuse me, do you remember me? And I'm like, I don't know, see everybody. I recognize your face. I don't know. He goes, I was the guy that came into your office and you turned the phone around and said to call a DAPC. I want to thank you because you're the first person who held me accountable.
Wow.
There was, on another medical note, there was this, I don't know, I can't remember if she was a specialist, this young girl, specialist, and I'm seeing her and I'm asking questions, And in the middle of the whole thing, I'm like halfway done everything. She gives me an additional piece of information. And I'm like frustrated. I just drop my head on the table, physically just banging on the table. And I go, I don't know what's wrong, but we're going to figure it out. And I continue on, whatever. So many months later go by. She comes back. She says, "You remember me?" I'm like, okay, I remember faces, but she goes, "I was in your office and you told me you don't know what's wrong, but you're going to figure it out. You sent me to the specialist and I have a bad heart, cardiomyopathy. That's why I keep falling out of runs. I'm not happy that I have a problem, but I'm happy that I know what it is and somebody listened."
Yeah. And that's a good point, because a lot of times that doesn't happen. Like,
remember, I'm the evil infantry doc that doesn't give profiles or anything else. I have my mean reputation about under profiling and getting guys back in the fight and all that kind of stuff. But I never missed a real knee injury, never missed the one that needed to see the orthopedic surgeons, never missed an ankle fracture, never missed anything serious or anything medically serious.
Yeah.
Because the thing about the military is you see your mistakes. You're their doc. They're coming back to you. So when they get to see somebody else and then it comes back to you, you'll know what you missed or whatever. So, I always include it. I teach this to the medics. Your diagnosis is what you think is wrong. Your plan must include, suppose I'm wrong. What are the keys to coming back?
Right.
What should make you run back versus schedule just come back? What is like the red flag that I want you back here immediately, or I want you going to the ER? Versus what's the regular comeback reasons, whatever. Because sometimes you're writing your diagnosis, but the treatment doesn't work. And you got to try something else. Or sometimes you miss something, and time is a great diagnostic tool. Bad things get worse with time. So sometimes you can't find something on first visit, but over time it becomes more obvious. Like classic example, this is not me, but MS. I treated MS patients in rehab medicine, and every single one of them says it took about 2-3 years for them to figure out what was wrong with me. Sometimes you don't know. And it takes time, and time is a great diagnostic tool. So, and then I had, here's another medical one. I'd be in my office, and around 10:30, 11, everybody that signed in for sick call is done. We're going through the motions, and all of a sudden I hear out in the waiting room, "Can I see Dr. DeLeon?" Bring her to the treatment room, start a nab, put her on O2, start an IV. I'll be there in a second. I know exactly who it is. There's this Amazon of a woman. A first sergeant. She's the master first sergeant. It's an Amazon of a woman. But she would get asthma attacks. And when she would do that, her voice would go like this because she can't breathe. And I knew it immediately. I would send her right back, get her treated, get her controlled. And after Desert Storm, the Army had this stupid idea that if you have the diagnosis of asthma, you're a civilian. And I'm like, hell effing no. People that need to be civilians are people that you can't control their asthma. They're constantly in the hospital. You need super strong steroid medications to control them. But the average Joe with asthma that you come in, maybe miss a couple of days of PT for a bad asthma attack or something like that, but they're not in the hospital, or maybe they've been in hospital once in 3 years. You're not going to throw out half the Army over asthma. So I refused to do it. And she was one of those that, you know, I would see her a couple of times a year with the acute asthma attack, give her an inhaler, interspacer and stuff. And for the most part, she was fine. And when she had an attack, she'd just come down to the clinic. I'd hear her voice. We give her treatment, break it, and then she'd be fine. You know, she doesn't need a profile or anything else. Well, my slicings, like I told you, I had my infantry brigade with my 3 battalions, and then I had all these slice units that didn't have docs that were assigned to my TMC, so they were my soldiers.
Okay.
Well, one of the battalions wanted to do, it was a combat battalion, wanted to do the obstacle course for PT, the aerosol obstacle course. But people have profiles. Well, does that mean they can't do some of the obstacles, none of the obstacles, all the obstacles? So they set up a tent for me to sit there. And as the soldier came in, he showed me my profile. I had a check sheet of all the obstacles. And I said, okay, you can still do this one, this one, this one. Have fun. You know,
nice. Okay.
But it is, because again, you know, conserve the fighting streak. We're sports medicine. You know, you're a professional athlete. We got to keep you in the fight.
Yeah.
So after doing that for a while, right? That day, she that same master sergeant with the asthma, she said, "Doc, can I ask you a question?" I'm like, "Okay." I hope this is a PG question. Are my boobs too big? I'm like, why do you ask? And she says, my gynecologist says I need to have a boob reduction. And I'm like, does your back hurt? Because, you know, the weight here, a lot of ladies will have upper back pains and stuff. Yeah, that makes sense. She's just a big Amazon woman. And she's like, no. Are you happy with them? Yes. Is your husband happy with them? Yes. What? Well, maybe the GYN doctor's jealous. I don't know.
That's funny.
All right. So, you know, when we go to the field, all right, we'll have the bub out at the talk. So the colonel will be, you know, getting the briefs from the battalion commander, how's training's going. Well, he ran into concertina wire and he's got a gash on his calf. So I show up with my aid bag as always. And, you know, they're like, hey, the colonel cut his leg. And I'm like, okay. So I go up there, I take a look. I'm like, I can clean that up and suture it. I got everything in my bag right here. And he goes, okay. And they just do it during the meeting. I don't care. Let's keep going. I was like, well, do you want me to use my Gerber? He's like, yeah, doc, do it with the Gerber. All right. So I'm cleaning up the Gerber with some betadine and rinsing it off. And I'm knocking out the stitches. No big deal.
That's good stuff.
That colonel, I told you, he was the guy that would go around the battlefield and stop and talk to the specialist. He's Colonel Martinez, who I really, really respect. I really learned a lot of him and appreciate him like there's no tomorrow. His daughter, you know, if you're the brigade surgeon, you're the staff's special doctor. You know, house visits included. That's just how I rolled.
Yeah.
You know, they could go to the hospital, go to their primary care, but, you know, they call me, I'll go down and check on it. So the wife calls me and says, hey, you know, my daughter, she's a teenager. She's not feeling well. She hasn't been feeling well for a little bit. Can you come over? I'm like, sure. So I come over to the house. I examine her. Nothing really. She just looks fatigued out. I'm thinking maybe she has a sinus infection or something, you know, and she's standing there and I'm talking to the mother. And then she goes to the fridge and fills the big glass of orange juice, drinks half the glass and sets it down. And I go, have you been really thirsty? Yeah. You've been drinking a lot? Yeah. You've been peeing a lot? Yeah. You might have diabetes. There's a tetrad in diabetes. Drink a lot, eat a lot, pee a lot. So in diabetes, you eat sugars. Your sugar gets into your system. Your pancreas secretes insulin. The insulin tells the cells, take up the sugar and do with it what you need to do. Burn it, store it, whatever, but get it out of the bloodstream.
Right.
And then either your pancreas is not making enough insulin, your pancreas failed. So the blood sugar is there, but there's nobody to tell the cells to take it up.
Right.
Or your cells stop listening to the insulin. So there's two types of diabetes. One is the pancreas fails, and that's usually young kids. The other is the cells are not listening. That's usually older. All right. That was the old school. Has to do with obesity and stuff. Now we have childhood obesity. So we see diabetes, the normal adult diabetes in kids. Sadly. But this skinny young girl, athletic, played soccer and everything else. So take her to my clinic. We draw the blood. I send the medic to take it up to the hospital to turn in the ER and get it stat. You know, I want the results stat. We could dip the urine right there in the clinic, and I could get, yes, it's high in sugar. Because you ever watch I Love Lucy and the episode when they're in the factory, the chocolate factory in the conveyor belt? Well,
I'm not sure.
Chocolate comes, they pick up a wrapper, they wrap the chocolate, they put it back down, it leaves. If the chocolate is coming slow enough, you can wrap it. But if there's too much chocolate coming, you can't keep up.
Right.
That's what happens with the kidneys. The sugar hits the kidneys, it leaks into the urine. The kidneys reach into the urine and pull the sugar back. But when there's too much sugar, they can't get it all. So it leaks into the urine. And sugar drags water. So now you're peeing a lot and you're dragging water with it. So you're dehydrating. Dehydrated, you got to drink a lot. And since you're not processing the sugars, you're feeling low energy. So you eat so you can get more energy, but you're not processing it. So you drink a lot, pee a lot.
Interesting.
So, you know, turns out I was right. She had diabetes. You know, we got her admitted to the hospital. The colonel was like, okay, how do we fix this? And it's like, you don't.
You live with it.
Not like so it was just, you know, I am satisfied that I was there to diagnose and help the daughter and help the mother and him. I'm not happy that they even have it in the first place, you know.
Right.
But it's very manageable and stuff like that. And man, I'm not even done with Fort Campbell and running.
We can schedule another, no big deal.
So I got to do flight time, and I'm in clinic all day playing with the infantry. So at night I would go out and fly with the aviators to keep up my flight hours. I didn't want to be on flight status, but they had me on flight status, so you have to do my flight hours. So one of the things the aviators love to do is they need to train cross country.
Right.
So map a route, do all the turns, everything else, go so far and get to another point.
Right.
So they would do cross country day, land, refuel, wait for it to get dark, and cross country night.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Great training. But while we're sitting there waiting for it to get dark, the airport where we landed, we're paying them for fuel. We're buying their fuel. So, hey, Doc, we want those aviators to come here, so we're going to treat them well. So here's a van. If you want to go out to dinner, here's a van. So they would give us a van and we would go to dinner. We pay for our own dinner.
Yeah.
But we would go to the place of the home of the throwed rolls. So if you wanted another roll at your table, you'd go, hey, waitress, and she would just fling one at you and you'd try to catch the roll.
That's awesome.
The home of the throwed rolls.
Wow. I love that.
So that was, let me see, is anything else? There's a couple of more things with Fort Campbell.
Well,
but I see we're out of time.
let's schedule another one. We'll get you back on here and tell some more stories.
Yeah, I've only gotten through about 96. Okay. From 81 to 96. We got 96 to 2023.
We got a couple years to go still. So it's all good, though. It's all good. Well, thanks for coming on and doing this again. I appreciate you, man. And I'll close this one out the same way I always do. But to all the listeners out there, if you're struggling, need help, anything like that, don't forget the VA does have some good resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255 or go to veteranscrisisline.net and click on that chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life lost is one too many. I care about you. I know Doc Hassan cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. If you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies you serve with. Ask them how they're doing. If they need that helping hand, please give it to them. All right, one last time. Thank you. Much appreciated. Don't hang up on me. Stick around. But to everybody out there, stay motivated. Change your socks.
No more 22. Honor the journey and finish the fight.